The Giants starting pitcher, Dave LaPointe, taking his warm-up pitches. He has a record of 7-11, 1-0 against the Mets this year, an earned run average of 3.10. He has worked 165 and 2/3 innings this season with a record of 161 hits, 58 walks, 97 strikeouts. Dave LaPointe going for the Giants.
And Dave will be opposing Len Dykstra leading off and playing center field. Wally Backman, the second baseman, will bat second. Tom Paciorek will play right field and hit third. Gary Carter at first base will bat fourth. George Foster in left field hitting fifth, and Ray Knight, the third baseman, batting sixth. Ron Reynolds will be behind the plate today against Dave, and Rafael Santana batting eighth, the shortstop, and Ed Lynch on the mound opposing Dave LaPointe.
So a late minute scratch. Darryl Strawberry taken out of the lineup at the last minute. Paciorek moved from first base to right field, and Carter moved from catcher to first base, with Ron Reynolds taking over the catching. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WRTV, and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WRTV is prohibited. So the final meeting between the Giants and the Mets this year. The Mets have won 7, the Giants have won 4. Giants in 6th place. They're 23.5 games out of first with a record of 51 and 76. The Mets in 2nd place. They have a record of 76 and 52 and 2 games back of the Cardinals. Len Dykstra to lead off for the Mets. Dykstra hitting at .255 for the year with 1 home run, 18 runs batted in. A left-hand pitcher against the left-hand batter. A new situation set up by Davey Johnson. And the first pitcher called strike. Dykstra against left-handers, normally not playing, with Strawberry in center and Paciorek in right. And this ball popped into shallow center field. Chili Davis coming strong. He makes a dive and a great catch. Chili Davis with a great play on Len Dykstra. This is a last-place team.
Boy, you talk about a super play right here. Now, it would have been more routine to catch it straight up, but to backhand it and then go down on that wrist. If you'll remember, that's how Darryl Strawberry sprained that ligament in his right thumb. But what a play by Davis. Man, that'll wake you up in a hurry.
And Davis, a star against the Mets in this series. A 3-run home run in the 10th inning to win the first game. He drove in the big run in yesterday's ball game. So Davis, who does not like playing here in San Francisco and wants out, certainly playing outstanding baseball. And now Wally Backman, the batter. Wally batting at .290 for the year with 1 home run, 31 RBIs. Backman hitting at .306 against Giant pitching this year with 11 base hits. In this series, he's 4 for 12. And Wally, a switch hitter, a much better hitter from the left-hand side. And it's through the middle, off the leg, and a good carom for the Giants to Triel. And that man is out. So 2 potential base hits on the first 2 batters turned into outs.
This ball rope back through the middle, and it hits LaPointe on the left shin. He appears to be all right. And Manny Trio, as Backman easily at first base, scored 1 to 4 to 3. And you said it appropriately, Ralph. 2 potential base hits and 2 outs.
And that'll bring up Tom Paciorek. Tom hitting at .323 with 1 home run, 8 runs batted in, and he fouls it back for strike 1. Paciorek 1 for 4 in this series, 4 for 12 against the Giants this year. Two men away, top of the first, just underway here at Candlestick, and the breaking ball pulled foul.
Mets had never beaten Dave LaPointe as a starter. The only time they beat Dave was in relief back on the 15th of September, 1983. He has a good changeup, an adequate breaking ball, and a sneaky fastball.
And he misses with the 2-strike pitch, so they count 1 ball and 2 strikes. LaPointe 5-1 against the Mets' lifetime. And this one grounded slowly to the shortstop, Uribe, and this throw to first base retires the side. So the Mets go in order on 2 outstanding breaks for the Giants and 1 outstanding play, and the score at the end of 1/2 inning. The Mets nothing, the Giants coming up.
Gamecock from the University of South Carolina, a graduate in finance, will be facing Jose Uribe, the shortstop, leading off. Manny Trio, the second baseman, batting second. Center fielder Chili Davis batting third. At first base, Dan Dreesen will hit fourth. Ron Renicky, who had a couple of hits in yesterday's game, the left fielder batting fifth. Right fielder Joel Youngblood will hit sixth. Bob Brindley behind the plate batting seventh. Brad Wellman over at third hitting eighth. And Dave LaPointe on the mound will, of course, bat ninth.
And LaPointe, a good hitting pitcher. He the lead off for San Francisco. Uribe hitting at .233, 1 home run, 19 RBIs. And the Mets playing to guard against the potential of a bunt. And this ball hit out to right field. Paciorek, fighting off the sun with the glasses down, makes the catch. Paciorek, before the ball game, when he thought he was playing first base, said, "Well, I'm glad I'm playing first. And right field is really tough." Now he's out there.
Well, we got the news of the lineup change about 7 or 8 minutes before game time, and Davy Johnson today and trying to decide whether to put Strawberry in the lineup, and he decided late. And then that's why Paciorek was moved off of first into right field and Carter from behind the plate to first.
And for the Giants, it'll be Manny Trillo to bat second. Manny hitting .228 for the year with 3 home runs, 23 RBIs. Ed Lynch with the fastball picks up a strike. Ed Lynch with the third best control record going for him. He has averaged only 1.23 base on balls throughout this season for a 9-inning ball game. And this ball hit high in the air to center field. Len Dykstra now will fight off the sun. And he makes the play. 2 men away. Best record for control. The fewest walks. Then effectively of the Cubs with a record of less than 1 walk per 9 innings, 0.92. And then Lamar Hoyt of the San Diego Padres at 0.95, and then Ed Lynch. Here's Chili Davis, and he's had a big series against the Mets. Chili for the year hitting .270 with 12 home runs, 53 RBIs, got his 12th home run against the Mets. And against the Mets this year, he's had a .359 batting average with 14 hits, 2 of them home runs. And he fouls the fastball back. Chili Davis in yesterday's ball game drove in the 3rd run of the ball game with a sacrifice fly. The first time the Giants got a runner in from 3rd on a sacrifice fly in 42 ball games.
Since July 11th. That is really an amazing thing, isn't it? That's almost a third of the season.
Yeah. Hard to believe. And that one a ball in the count of 1 ball and 1 strike.
Of course, they have gotten runners in from 3rd with less than 2 out on infield outs and base hits, but not to hit a fly ball in 42 games to get a runner in with less than 2 out from 3rd base is a rather remarkable thing.
That's mind-boggling. And the pitch back to Davis, a fastball. 2-1 the count. Davis ended up the year against Dwight Gooden hitting .500 with 7 hits and 14 at-bats against Gooden. He explained it by saying Gooden isn't God, man. And the fly ball out to left field this time. It's George Foster making the play, and the Giants go out on 3 fly balls. And the score at the end of 1. The Mets nothing, the Giants nothing. Now here's a word from as far as they could go. Losing by a score of 3-2. LaPointe retired the Mets in order in the 1st inning. And his first pitch here in the 2nd. Fastball, a called strike by Fred Brocklander, the home plate umpire. Lee Wires at first base, Ed Montague at 2nd, and Steve Ripley, the umpire, at 3rd. Carter in this series 3 for 8. 1 ball, 1 strike. Missed with a fastball. Bottom of the 6th, it's the Cardinals leading 3-0 over Houston. And a fly ball to center field. Chili Davis, and he fights off the sun and makes the play. John Tudor, pitching for the Cardinals, goes into that game with 6 shutouts, tied with Dwight Gooden for the National League lead, and now working on his 7th, leading 3-0 for the Cardinals. Here's George Foster. Foster was raised in this area. hitting .253 for the year with 17 home runs and 64 RBIs, and he was a former Giant ball player. He's hitting .182 against the Giants this season with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. 0 for 5 in this series. And a strike call. Had a team batting average of .281, number 1 in the National League. And they are second in earned run average with a 3.00 ERA for the month of August in the National League. Dave LaPointe with a 3.10 ERA, back with a pitch out of the strike zone, and Foster chases it, and he becomes the first strikeout victim of this ball game.
I'll tell you, that was an artistic sequence by Dave LaPointe and Bob Brenly. The fastball away, and then the fastball to time up, and then the changeup in the dirt. That is an expert job of pitching to George Foster.
And it brings up Ray Knight. Knight hitting .212 for the year with 5 home runs, 29 RBIs, one of his home runs against Giant pitchers. And the first pitch low.
Most of the time, what gets you out as a hitter is what the pitcher has done before he got to that pitch. And what determines whether you get a hit also is dependent on what the pitcher and the catcher have done before they get to that count.
A lot of computer mind storage involved with hitting and pitching. LaPointe has never had a losing season in his major league career until this year, and he has a chance to get out of that. Came in with a record of 7-11. Ray Knight batting in the 6th batting position. He had been penciled in the 7th batting position before Strawberry was scratched from the lineup. Mets playing without Keith Hernandez and Darryl Strawberry. Three and 1 the count to Ray Knight. And it's fouled off, 3-2. Talking about the record in August of 17-11, the Mets in July had their best record ever when they won 21 and lost 7. So in July and August, the Mets have won 38 while losing 18. Full count to Ray Knight. 2 men away, top of the 2nd inning, and this one in the air to right field. Youngblood is there. And once again, the Mets go in order, and the score at the end of 1.5 innings. The Mets nothing, the Giants nothing. Duels for the first time.
Yes, I did. Lefties, of course, here with a good piano bar, and we did not venture into that place.
Lefty O'Doul, a great major league player, and also a fantastic big man in San Francisco while he was alive.
Danny Dreesen, the batter. Lynch retired the first 3 hitters to face him. Danny batting .239 with 8 home runs, 3 as a Giant. And it's 2-0 to Dreesen.
You know, another great ball player had a saloon in San Francisco. Tony Lazzeri.
Oh, yeah? Well, Joe DiMaggio has had a restaurant here for years, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Swing and a miss, 2-1 to Dan Dreesen. Yeah, you had a chance last night to visit the world's greatest waiter, that Full House Johnson. He's something, isn't he?
250 pounds of muscle. You eat what he puts out or else.
You better eat it, huh?
And you better say you like it.
2-1 pitch. Base hit down the left field line. Dreesen may get a double. And he will. Dan Dreesen with his 23rd double of the year, and he's the leadoff runner on second base here in the 2nd inning.
Well, Dreesen had been 1 for 12 before he picks up this hit right down the left field line, and nothing you can do about it as he eases in with a 2-base hit. Dreesen, who came to San Francisco from Montreal.
Came over for Bill Lasky and Scott Thompson. No score, but Dreesen at second and nobody out, and the batter Ron Renicky, who's batting .225. And a bunt, and there's Carter, and the throw to second. Oh boy, Carter with that snap throw to second base almost got Dreesen. One away.
Well, it's tough to change positions. When you're catching, you're facing out. Here you're facing in, and he makes a good turn and flip. The perfect throw, and Dreesen just does get back. This is a bad play by Ron Renicky. He was bunting for a base hit, and at the same time, if he didn't get the base hit, he was hoping to get the runner over to third, but he did not accomplish either one.
As in most hedges, you end up coming up with nothing, and that's what Renicky tried to do, tried to hedge it there. And Joel Youngblood takes a slider for a strike, 0-1.
He wanted the best of both sides.
Carter looking for it, anticipating it, making a nice play. Youngblood batting .260, and Joel with 3 home runs, 16 RBIs. So it's 0-2, Youngblood in the hole. In about a month and a half, I guess Joel will be in upstate New York hunting with that bow and arrow and that dog of his, Sangre Joven.
Looks like he's starting to grow his beard. He always comes up with a beard here.
Yeah.
Go for his hunting act.
Oh, 0-2 to Joel Youngblood. And he stays alive. The name of his dog, Sangre Joven, means young blood in Spanish. Kind of interesting, isn't it?
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Joven, Sangre Joven.
Sangria, obviously, comes out with that name. Huh?
And it's blood red, yeah. 0-2. And the fastball misses, so it's 1-2 to Joel Youngblood. The Mets have already clinched the season series against the Giants, the first time they've beaten the Giants in the season series since 1979. Ground ball to third base. High hop for Knight. 2 out.
Well, Ray Knight using peripheral vision to make sure that the runner on second base, Dan Dreesen, was not going to come over as he made the throw to first base, so Dreesen stays at second.
And the batter's going to be Bob Brenly, and you have a pitch-around situation here. Brenly not hitting for a high average, but awfully strong. He has 17 home runs, 42 RBIs. Only make that 3 for 27 against the Mets this year. Won a big home run against Roger McDowell. Slider for a strike, 0-1.
Had a home run, won a game in the 9th inning against the New York Mets. 2-run home run, turned the ball game around.
Beat the Mets 3-2. 2 weeks from this past Wednesday.
Last year he hit 4 home runs and drove in 14 runs against the Mets.
Line drive, past Knight. Dreesen's gonna score. Giants lead it 1-0. And the throw home, and Brenly goes to second. Well, that's why the catcher says try to knock the ball down with a runner on second and 2 out, Ralph.
And Ray Knight did not knock it down. He tried to make the catch. And it gets away from him on the short hop. An unnecessary throw home by Santana allows Brenly to go to second base. Santana not getting any help at all as far as where to throw the ball, and Brenly goes into second base, so he's in scoring position as the Giants take the lead.
So it's going to be scored a single. Brenly going to second base on the throw home, and the batter Brad Wellman. It was a bad play by Knight. Not that he didn't field the ball cleanly, but allowing it to go through because there were 2 out, and had he kept it in front of him, Dreesen doesn't score. And to add insult to injury, Santana threw home and Brindley went to second. 0-2 to Wellman. Brad batting .239 on the year. 1-0 San Francisco.
If you're looking for an indication in games where the Giants have scored first, they have only won 50% of the games. That's an extremely low average. The average would be 70 to 75%.
Good play, Ron Reynolds. Ronnie starting his 9th game behind the plate. Carter at first base starting his 5th game at first base. And Wellman stays alive. Neither the Giants nor the Mets took hitting today. It was a father-son-daughter game. For the game, all the tots and toddlers firing around the infield.
Running the bases the opposite direction.
Moved the bases in about 80 feet. Ball hit well to center field, but there's Dykstra. Glass is down. He makes the catch. But the Giants take the lead. 1 run on 2 hits. No errors and 1 left. So after 2, it's 1-0. Reynolds batting .281. He's done a fine job in a very limited role, only his 9th start behind the plate. Dave LaPointe on the mound. Strike 1. Dave has retired 6 in a row while striking out 1. Slider fouled away, 0-2. Back on August 16th, the Mets were a game and a half in front of the Cardinals. And they really had a chance to pick up some ground. They went into Pittsburgh and lost 2 of 3 to the Pirates. Change up outside. Then they played San Francisco and won 2 of 3. And now they've lost 2 of 3 here a couple of weeks later. So they're 4-5 in their last 9 meetings against 2 last-place clubs. And as everybody knows, in order to win it, you got to beat the teams in the second division, especially the teams in the cellar. But the Mets have failed to do that. They've dropped 2 games behind the Cardinals. Cardinals winning today, and the Mets are behind. Ground ball. Uribe at short. Throws out Reynolds. 1 away and 7 in a row retired by LaPointe.
Batting number 3, shortstop Rafael Santana.
The Mets going into that Pittsburgh series, Ralph, if you remember, had won 32 of 40 games. They were 32-8 in their last 40 games.
And their explanation, I remember that, was that nobody in the stands was hard to get up for a ball game, but you just can't let that affect you.
That's right. Can't expect them to continue to play that incredible ball that they were playing from the 1st of July, or since that July 4th game in Atlanta. Up until that time, they have been flat for the last couple of weeks. Trying to pick it up for September. Ball hit fairly well to left, but Renicky there. And they're 2 away, 8 in a row, retired by Dave LaPointe.
Batting number 36, pitcher Ed Lynch.
And the batter's going to be Ed Lynch, who's batting .70, 3 for 43 on the year. Outfield very shallow. Chili Davis around toward right center. Youngblood very shallow and right. And it's 1-0 to Ed.
Mets in their last 20 ball games have won 9 and lost 11. So they have flattened out.
Cardinals in the meantime have had a 6-game winning streak, but they have lost 3 in a row. So both first place teams have really given a reprieve to Montreal, who has crept back in there to mild contention. Montreal 7 back, so they still have a shot.
Giants went into Montreal and dealt them some bad cards too.
Beat them 2 in a row. And Ed fouls it away, so it's 2-2. That's why looking at the schedule is pure folly, really, when you think about it, because last place clubs play like pennant contenders in September.
Got nothing to lose, and they get great enjoyment out of beating the #1 clubs. It's their only chance to really get known.
Well, what do you think of that? Ed Lynch, with only his 4th hit of the year, gets the 1st hit of the afternoon for the Mets.
Lynch had been 3 for 43 as he fights off to his fastball and lobs it into center field for the first base hit.
Perfectly appropriate with the open in New York now. A little lob toss in the center, huh?
Or serve.
Len Dykstra is the batter. And there's the booing, a chorus of boos here in San Francisco, and I know not for what. And a bunt attempt by Dykstra. Steve Zabriskie informs us that there was a group of Mets fans down there saying, "Let's go Mets," and the Giants fans don't like that happening here at Candlestick. It's understandable.
The few Giant fans.
Few Giant fans that are here.
Yesterday with Gooden pitching, they had a crowd of over 20,000. Their average is around 11,000.
Giants second in attendance, second from the bottom. Pittsburgh Pirates have drawn the fewest people in the National League, 660,000. 1-1 to Dykstra. And a bunt, and a beauty. LaPointe will have to hurry. Safe at first. That Dykstra spends more time on the ground than he does on his feet.
Well, it's a fairly good bunt. Not a great one, but it's good enough. LaPointe has to take a little time to get to it. And then Dykstra hits the bag and then goes down. Spends more time in the ground than a wrestler, I guess.
And the batter, Wally Backman. The Mets with a chance to tie it here. They trail 1-0. Top of the 3rd, 2 out. Lynch at second and Dykstra at first. One 1-0 to Backman. Wally, the first time up, hit a hard smash that hit LaPointe on the left shin, and it carried him to Manny Trio, who threw to Dan Dreesen for a 1-4-3 putout. Ground ball hit sharply to short, but Uribe to Trio retires the Mets. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left. After 2.5, it's 1-0 San Francisco. We'll go to the middle of the 3rd after this word from to Lynch. That is a frightening scene right there.
That ball,
thankfully, Lynch caught it.
That ball wasn't caught by Lynch. It just went in his glove. He didn't move his glove. He was trying to get out of the way that went in the glove. Boy, close.
Shortstop, Jose Uribe.
60 feet 6 inches away, and that ball is going over 100 miles an hour.
Man. So fortunately for Lynch, he comes up with it. The batter, Jose Uribe. Uribe flied to right his first time up. And a slider misses. 1-0 to Uribe, batting .230. Hit right field. So Uribe is on there, and the batter is going to be Manny Trio. That's the 3rd hit for the Giants, and that's 2. Good hit and run man. Dykstra playing Trio to pull. About 4 steps, and he's out of position. Trio, a good right field hitter, especially with the man on. There you see Dykstra in the screen.
He should be way over in right center. He should be 30 feet away over to the right against Manny Trio, who hits the ball well to right center.
Playing like a left-handed pull hitter, and the Mets are not playing properly right now. 1 out, Uribe with good speed at first. Slider misses.
In the bottom of the 8th inning yesterday, with a runner at first base, they put the hit and run on. Trio swung and missed and then fell over in front of Carter, and Carter did not throw. The runner got down to second, and then on a bunt play, he moved to third base when Trio was safe at first on interference by the pitcher, McDowell. And the sacrifice fly.
McDowell went over to cover, and Wally Backman was covering. And McDowell was about 3 feet from first base, and since he didn't receive the ball, then Trio was credited to first, and an error was given to Roger McDowell. And that was the inning that the Giants scored their 3rd run, and they beat the Mets 3-2. 2-0 to Trio. Dykstra now drifting over toward right center field. And it's 3-0 to Manny Trio. Chili Davis on deck.
Dykstra has moved about 15 feet over to where he should be, but he could go another 10 or so feet.
There's a strike, 3-1. Highly unusual for Ed Lynch to walk a hitter. He has walked only 23 in 106 coming into this game. And he has walked more than 2 only once this year. There goes the runner, and it's fouled off. 3-2.
Uribe back to first, and he'll be running on the next pitch, the 3-2 pitch.
Backman cheating at second, and Carter holding Uribe close. A big hole on the right side. And there goes Uribe. Ground ball to third. Ray Knight up with it, and he throws Trio out. A good play by Knight. 2 out.
Well, we'll look at it again. Ray has to really fight it off.
Number 30, center fielder.
He comes up with it, loses his balance momentarily, but does get it over the first base. No chance for the force play with the runner going on the pitch. So the Mets get the second out of the inning, and the Giants have a runner in scoring position for the dangerous Chili Davis.
Davis flied to left his first time up. Chili batting .270 with 53 RBIs and 12 home runs. And this one way back to right field. And Paciorek is there, and he makes the catch. No runs, a hit, and 1 left here in the 3rd. And after 3 innings of play, it's 1-0 San Francisco. Sitting with LaPointe against Ed Lynch, Tom Paciorek leads it off here in the 4th, and to call it for you, Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks a lot, Timmy. Tom grounded to short his first time up. He'll be followed by Gary Carter and George Foster in a 1-0 San Francisco lead here in the 4th. Fouled away, strike 1. Paciorek, as Ralph mentioned, thinking he was going to play first base, reveling in that fact when he came out and saw the sun and the wind conditions. Grounds 1 to second. Trio gobbles it up, and 1 away.
Number 8, first baseman.
And that'll bring up Gary Carter, and let's play Mets trivia. Dwight Gooden has a good chance to lead the league in earned run average. I would say that might be an understatement. When was the last time that a New York Met pitcher led the league in ERA? You think about that one, and we'll give you the answer before the end of this half inning.
I'll be thinking.
And now Dave LaPointe and home plate umpire Fred Brocklander having a discussion. Initiated by Brocklander.
Probably out checking for foreign substances.
Gary Carter flied to center his first time up. Carter entered the game hitting .333 against the Giants with 2 home runs. And he drills one to right. Youngblood going back. All he can do is watch, and it's out of here. Gary Carter with his 2nd home run in as many days ties the ball game at 1-1 here in the top of the 4th inning. For Carter, his 20th homer of the year.
And Gary just overpowered that changeup high and away and got it in, or got it into that wind in right field, and that ball just took off in a jet stream. Change up and away. Now watch this ball. Youngblood goes back and he realizes, playing in this park for his 3rd season, that that ball is history. Awfully strong. Gary Carter with those big arms just overpowers that ball the other way. Tie ball game.
14th home run. Foster, who struck out back in the 2nd inning, and he takes outside for ball 1. Carter now with 65 RBIs, 2nd on the club to Keith Hernandez. Ball 2. Carter now leads, or actually he is tied with Bob Brenly of the Giants for most home runs in the National League by a catcher. That home run is not one of those. Gary has 17, as does Brenly, while playing behind the plate. But Gary now with 20 overall.
Foster may be given the hit sign, but it's doubtful. We'll see.
Taking all the way. 3-1. George batting with 1 out and nobody on. Top of the 4th inning. And it's ball 4. LaPointe's first walk follows the home run to Carter, and the Mets have a runner aboard with 1 out.
I think it's interesting to note that after Fred Brocklander went out to talk to Dave LaPointe, who was checking that ball, that Carter hit the next pitch, and when Carter hit it, LaPointe looked at Brocklander. Now that's going some when a pitcher looks at the umpire after a guy hits the ball out of the ballpark.
Blaming it on the umpire.
Yeah, why not?
Ray Knight flied to right his first time up. And he takes the ball outside. Well, let's do the trivia question yet again. As soon as Ray Knight hits, we'll give you the answer. The last Met to lead the league with an earned run average.
I think I know that.
Right down the right field line, but now it's slicing into the stands out of play.
And the only reason I believe I know it is because I think I was still playing. And not positive now.
In that regard, you are correct.
And I think it was the late 70s.
Also correct. You're zeroing in on it.
We're zeroing in on it. Ralph Kiner loves to write things down when it's up to me.
Giving you as much help as possible. You obviously have an idea because you're right there.
Well, I think I remember it because I believe I was playing. I can't tell you the exact year, but it's either 76 or 78.
That's high and away, and a snap throw to first does not get Foster. The count now 3-1 to Knight. Well, you're also so right in that regard. It was 1978.
Oh, all right.
A little hint for those at home.
Well, I think, you know.
That sort of narrows it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if you can guess who it was and the exact ERA they had, you win all of Marble. Well hit to left on a line, but Renicky does not have to move one step to haul it in. All right, Mr. McCarver, venture your guess. We've surrounded this baby. Who was the last Mets pitcher to lead the National League in ERA?
It was Craig Swan in 1978 with a 2.45 ERA.
You missed it by 2/100ths of a point.
Really?
2.43. Craig Swan, 1978.
I just remember that because I remember Swanee having a guy. I think he won 14 games that year or something like that, but he was throwing awfully hard that year, and I think it was the next year that he came up with rotator cuff problems. Had the big contract.
I believe you are correct. So you win the trophy for today.
The marbles, yeah. I need some.
I lost mine a long time ago. Ron Reynolds, who grounded to short with a count of no balls, 1 strike, takes the ball low, 1-1. 2 out here in the 4th inning. A run is in for New York on Gary Carter's 20th home run of the year. And George Foster, who walked, is at first base. Strike 2, 1-2. Ron Reynolds inserted at almost the very last minute, with Davey Johnson making the lineup change just right before game time. And he strikes out. Second strikeout for LaPointe ends the inning, but the Mets get a run on a hit. Carter's 20th dinger. And it's 1-1 in the middle of the 4th here from Candlestick. And we're back after this for Burger King. Organization in some capacity. Dan Driessen leads off the bottom of the 4th for the Giants. He doubled and scored the only Giant run in the 3rd inning, and he lofts this one into short right field. Wally Backman back. Paciorek coming in, and it's off Backman's glove, and Driessen will be at second base. There are no routine plays on balls hit in the air in this ballpark.
No, but this is Paciorek's ball all the way. He's got to run Backman off that ball, and Tom very tentative right there in coming in. And Backman the ball ends up going off his glove, and that is only the 4th error of the year for Wally Backman.
Driessen again at second, as he was in the 2nd inning when he led off with a double. And here's Ron Roenicke, who popped out to Carter trying to bunt. He takes low, ball 1.
Can't really be too tough on any fielder when you drop a fly in this ballpark, because nothing is routine. Even what would normally be routine flies elsewhere, not routine in this park.
Another pop-up, this one to the left side. Santana battling the elements. And
I was going to say, Steve, that however, you can be a little critical on who's supposed to catch the ball, because it's so tough, you have to give the guy the opportunity who's the right guy. American League scoreboard: California over New York 3-0 in the 6th. Boston 9-3 over Minnesota. The game also in the 6th. The White Sox 4-1 over Toronto in the 8th inning. 8-4 Cleveland over Milwaukee in the 4th. Kansas City at Texas this evening. Detroit over Oakland 5-2. Same score. Seattle over Baltimore 5-2. Both those games in the 8th.
Joel Youngblood grounded to 3rd back in the 2nd inning. Driessen at second on the air with 1 out now. Youngblood came into the game hitting .330 over his last 30 ball games to raise his average 66 points in those 30 ball games. And how did he do that? Well, he didn't have a ton of at-bats. That's how he did that. 1-1. Almost went after it, but took the slider low. 2-1. Driessen at second, 1 away. We're tied at 1 in the bottom of the 4th, and that caught the corner. 2-2. Joel taking a moment to voice his displeasure. Tap down the 3rd base line. Knight can't come up with it. Ray Knight looked like he got a late break on that ball. He stayed fair, and Youngblood's at first base.
Well, Ray comes up on it and doesn't play under the hop, but I doubt that he would have had a play on Youngblood. See, we talk about playing under the hop. Did you see where his glove was right there? In Friday night's ball game, Uribe made some great plays, and we brought up the point that his glove was always on the ground, and that's what is meant by playing under the hop. Ray Knight was above the hop then, and it went off his glove, but it scored a base hit, and rightly so.
Infield single for Youngblood, and here's Bob Brenly, who had an infield single off of Ray Knight to drive in the Giant run in the second inning.
I guess simply put, Steve, if you're above the hop, in order to catch the ball, you go down and thereby stab at the ball. If you're under the hop, your hands soften up because it's always softer to come up than it is to go down.
Plus, you got more glove to work with if you're under the hop. Short left field. Foster having to adjust about 3 different times. Stays with it, 2 away. Runners at first and second for Brad Wellman. Wellman flied to center to end the second inning.
Third baseman, Brad Wellman.
Came into the game hitting .239, no homers, 16 RBI. Strike 1. A run on 3 hits and an error for the Mets. A run on 4 hits and no errors for the Giants. But the Giants have runners at first and second with 2 out in the 4th. 1-1. Ed Lynch wants to get Wellman for more than one reason. Dave LaPointe is scheduled next, and you'd much rather have him lead off the next inning. Not to mention get the 3rd out without a run being scored, and it's now 1-2.
Yeah, not in that order.
No.
The priority is to keep the run from scoring regardless of who leads off. All tight ball games, it's certainly like that. If you've got a tight game today, and get used to it, because this September is going to be exciting. Run the gamut of emotions in September when you're fighting for a pennant.
Did he go? No, says first base umpire Lee Wire. So the count 2-2.
Why are these games more important, as you saw the check swing by Brad Wellman? Well, because time's running out.
And every game in the loss column is gone forever. That's obviously the case in April, too, but you got more games with which to come back. And Ed Lynch does it. Picking up his first strikeout, getting Wellman with runners at first and second here in the 4th inning. So the game's still tied at 1-1 after 4, and we're back after this for Budweiser. Rafael Santana leads off the top of the 5th inning. 1-1 ball game in the last meeting of the year between the Giants and the New York Mets. Santana flied to left back in the 3rd. Dave LaPointe going for the Giants. Ran a fly ball that won't get out of the infield. Well, just barely. Manny Trio about 2 steps on the grass. 1 away. And the batter will be pitcher Ed Lynch. Dave LaPointe says he has 2 goals this year.
Okay.
For the remainder of this season. He was telling me before the ball game, first of all, he wants desperately to come to a .500 record, and as you and Ralph were talking earlier, he's never had a losing record in the big leagues, and he figures with 7 starts, including today, he's got a shot at doing that with a 7-11 record. And his other goal is to beat Mike Krukow in a little friendly but heated battle they have over which pitcher will get the most base hits as a hitter. And right now, Krukow leads 12-10.
Well, it's interesting that you brought that up, because this is an astonishing thing as far as non-support goes. The Giants this year have not hit more as a team than Dave LaPointe has as a pitcher, as a team, while they've been hitting for him, with the exception of today's start. As an example, LaPointe entered the game batting .208. And his team batting behind him have hit only .222 as a team when he's been pitching.
That's in the dirt and away. And the count now 2-2 to Ed Lynch. Bob Brenly taking a moment.
The team is 169 hits and 760 at bats when LaPointe has been pitching. And up until today, he was hitting more than the team that was supporting him. Huh.
Well, he has a fine ERA, not outstanding, but good at 3.10, but a 7-11 record to go with it. Ed Lynch slices one to right, and he's maybe got a base hit. Greason is there, and he's out. Eddie did not run hard out of the box,
right.
And Joel Youngblood threw him out.
Exactly right. The pitchers can take things for granted just like regular players, and Ed Lynch was not running. And he is thrown out from right field by Youngblood, who's playing shallow. He throws a bullet to first base, and they got him by half a stride. Well, you just don't take anything for granted in this game. And it's often the case that pitchers do not run when they hit the ball, and they try to preserve their energy. But when you get a base hit to the outfield, you're not preserving your energy, and you're not preserving a win for yourself either.
Base runners have been few and far between for New York lately, and they just lost one right there. 2 out rather than 1 out with a runner at first for Len Dykstra, who is 1 for 2. Lenny was robbed of a base hit on a great play by Chili Davis to start the ball game, and he grounds one, an easy play for Damon Greason, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. So a little mental lapse causes the Mets to lose a base hit. It's still 1-1 in the middle of the 5th here in San Francisco. Now here's a word from R.C. Cola.
The center's expanded to 40 players. LaPointe lined back to Lynch, by the way, his first time up. 1-1 game. And a ground ball towards second. Backman over to Carter. 1 out. And to get some of the young players, guys used to say, all right, come on, one time, hit that Budweiser sign. Hit the Budweiser sign. Well, the young players would look out of the dugout, and they'd turn around and say, there's no Budweiser sign out there. So one time, with the roster expanded, we were in this ballpark, and I yelled down from the end of the dugout, hit the Budweiser sign. And there's nothing. Nothing. I said, hit the Budweiser sign. And all of a sudden, down from the other end of the dugout, Danny Ozark, the manager, says, there's no Budweiser sign in this ballpark. You know, that line was
hit Danny, man.
Yeah, that line was not meant to get the manager. It's meant to get the young players who come up in September. Well, anyway, it's 1-0 to Jose Uribe, who's 1 for 2. Line to Carter. Gary playing Uribe close for the bunt. And it was right to him. 3 pitches, 2 outs here in the 5th.
And it made it a little bit tougher play as Gary goes to one knee. Obviously, if he'd been playing in deep position, it would have been a tougher play, really, because he probably would have gotten a line drive on an in-between hop. That ball was sinking.
Manny Trio 0 for 2. Giants scored their run in the 2nd inning. And the Mets came back with Gary Carter's 20th home run of the year. In the 4th, it's 1-1. 0-1 to Trio.
And again, the Mets outfield swung around a little bit toward the left to Manny. Obviously, it's a little different this time because there are no runners on base.
Trio more apt to pull Ed Lynch than he would other pitchers. He opened the game with a double, opened the scoring yesterday with a double against Dwight Gooden, and scored the first run of the game, and the double, predictably, was to right center field. Ooh, good slider there, 1-2.
And what you see so often, Tim, it's hard to understand or explain, is when they set up, as we look at the pitch again, they set up defensively for a guy to pull and then pitch him away.
Yeah, that's why, you know, if you're straight away, then that doesn't take anything away from the pitcher. You allow the pitcher to not pitch one way, to use all his tools. This one grounded, foul.
And just foul.
Dwight Gooden yesterday losing his first game since May 25th when he was defeated by the Dodgers 6-2. Dwight 20-4 now. He has lost once to the Giants and once to the Dodgers. once to the San Diego Padres, and once to the Cards. So the Cards, the only team in the Eastern Division that has beaten Gooden this year. 2-2 to Trio.
And those Cardinals will be at Shea.
Yeah.
When the Mets return home 1 week from Tuesday.
The 10th, 11th, and 12th. 2 night games at 7:35 and a 1:35 afternoon game. 3 nail biters. Fly ball to center field. Dykstra started in. Now he's back, and he makes the catch in an easy inning for Ed Lynch. Ed's now retired 5 in a row, and after 5, it's a 1-1 game. Now here's a word from Manu. 1 to Backman. Same as the score, 1-1. Backman 0 for 2. He has grounded out twice. Another breaking ball and a beauty. LaPointe has not used that breaking ball nearly as much as his straight change. Probably his 3rd best pitch. 1-2 to Wally Backman.
And it was a changeup that Gary Carter hit out of the park to tie the ball game in the 4th inning.
Hit it to right field, and another breaking ball is high. 2-2 to Backman. Tom Paciorek on deck. LaPointe from Glens Falls, New York. He was a center fielder, first baseman, and pitcher in high school. Started his windup and stopped, and now he appears to be ready. Mets trying to even the series before they go to San Diego for 3 games. Change up, tap back to the mound, and LaPointe throws him out. 1 away.
Well, fans, we want to invite you to help support the Leukemia Society of America and get a full-color poster of Gary Carter suitable for framing as well. To get your copy, send a check or a money order for $5 to the Leukemia Society Gary Carter poster, Box 77, New York 10001, and all proceeds will go directly to the Leukemia Society of America.
Well, with 1 out, the batter Tom Paciorek, and he fouls one back, 0-1. Well, our crack stat man Jay Horwitz is in the booth with some useful information, as always. And Tom fouls it back, 0-2. Jay, prior to joining the Mets, was the athletic director, or no, sports information director at Fairleigh Dickinson University. And it looks like a base hit for Tom Paciorek. So Paciorek is on the board with his first hit of the afternoon. And the batter is going to be Gary Carter, who homered his last time up.
Well, Paciorek came into the game hitting .323. He's coming over to the National League, and he's 1 for 3 now in this ball game, and he does go to right field very well.
Awfully nice of Jay to offer to take us all to dinner tonight in San Diego.
Unfortunately, that's not what he mentioned.
Oh.
But we're working on it.
We invited Jay out so he could pick up the tab.
And he knew that. That's why he's hedging on whether or not he's going to come.
Outside to Carter. 1-0 to Gary. Paciorek at first. 1 out in a 1-1 ball game. Carter homered his last time up.
Jay informs us that Tidewater and Richmond are scoreless in the 14th inning as the Tides are trying to qualify for the AAA playoffs.
They've got to win that last game, right?
Right.
Tidewater, the AAA affiliate of the Mets. And that would be important because if they do lose today, then the Mets will have some fresh faces for the month of September. And if they win, well, those players will be delayed in coming because of the playoffs down in the International League. Another fastball misses. 3-0 to Gary Carter.
Randy Myers, who was briefly with the big club earlier this year, pitched the first 7 shutout innings for Tidewater today.
Went to spring training with the Mets, the left-hander. Line drive, base hit to right field. Paciorek round second, but Youngblood can throw, so he holds.
Well, Gary's homer was to right, and he goes to right on LaPointe here. lining one to Youngblood, and the combination of the sharply hit ball and Youngblood's fine arm holds Paciorek at second. So 2 singles to right back-to-back after 1 out.
And George Foster with a chance to put the Mets ahead. He's 0 for 1. He has struck out and walked. 5th hit for the Mets. They lead the Giants in hits 5-4. And the cheers once again of "Let's go Mets." And naturally the boos coming from the crowd.
The reason the Giant fans don't like it is because they're almost outnumbered by the Mets fans. That's intimidating in your own ballpark.
Fastball outside to Foster. Greg Minton, the right-hander, is warming for the Giants. The Mets have never beaten Dave LaPointe in a starting role.
Dave is 1-0 this year and 5-1 career. And as you said earlier, Tim, that loss came in relief in '83.
Changeup is fouled out of play. So it's 1-1 to George Foster. The Cardinals won their game 5-0. John Tudor with his 7th shutout of the season. He is 16-8.
And he now leads the National League in shutouts with 7. He and Dwight Gooden were tied with 6 prior to today.
Sliders inside and low. The Cardinals now with 16 shutouts. The Dodgers have 19 and San Diego has 18. Swings at a bad ball, and it's 2-2 to Foster. Speaking of those Padres, the Mets, as you look at Ray Knight and Ron Reynolds, the Mets travel to San Diego this evening and will be on WOR 10:35 New York time tomorrow night. Bringing you the first game of that series, it'll be Mark Thurman for the Padres going against Sid Fernandez. Make that 9:05 New York time. A rare 6:05 start tomorrow night.
Because of the Labor Day holiday, I'm sure that's the reason that we'll be on the air at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern time. But that is the only time. I mean, Houston starts some 6 o'clock games on Sunday, but that's the only time I never remember a San Diego game at 6 o'clock.
2-2, 2-on, 1-1 game. Swing and a miss at the changeup. George Foster is down on strike. That is the 3rd strikeout for LaPointe, and the 2nd time he has gotten Foster both on changeup.
Watch George's body position here. You can tell how way out in front he was of that pitch just by his posture.
So it'll be up to Ray Knight. Runners remain at 1st and 2nd. There are 2 out now. Knight lines sharply to left and is flied to right. Ray entered the game batting only .212, but he does have 5 home runs. Fastball is high, 1-0. Mets lost this first game 6-3 in 10 innings on a 3-run homer by Chili Davis. They eked out a win in Friday night's game 2-1 and lost yesterday 3-2. So they have scored 7 runs so far in the 4 games. Change up is a strike, 1-1. Paciorek at second, Carter at first, Ray Knight the batter. Fastball is wide and high. 2-1 to Knight. Ron Reynolds, the on-deck batter. LaPointe entered the game 42-33 for his career. His last start he won against Montreal. 26th of August. There's Ron. miss and a bad ball. 2-2. Fred Brocklander indicates that Ray did foul tip that ball.
Both Knight and Foster, when they were ahead in the count, went after pitches that were out of the strike zone.
Change up, lifted to left, down the line, and foul. LaPointe wants to take it himself. He didn't want to turn it over to the bullpen. He has left 4 games this year with the lead, and the San Francisco Giant bullpen has failed 4 of those times.
And that really shows you how snake-bitten he is, because overall the Giants bullpen has been good.
Mark Davis leads the major leagues in strikeouts for a reliever with 106. Scott Gerald's down there. He almost went around, and there goes Paciorek, and Ray Knight went too far. So Brindley's got to throw the ball to first, but he tags Knight, and Knight went too far. He failed to run. Oh, boy.
Well, the ball in the dirt, and Ray looked like he checked his swing.
You think so? I thought he went too far.
Well, here's Davey Johnson arguing. And I think part of what he's arguing about is that Knight didn't have the opportunity because they didn't call it right away for him to run to first base.
Well, we'll see right after this word from Bud Light. 1-1, middle of the 6th. Ground ball. Good play by Knight on the in-between hop. Then he throws out Davis. 1 away. That was a good play there.
You're right. That was a tough hop ball, very sharply hit. So he just hacked it, boy, right the other way. And Knight had no choice but to play the in-between hop because the ball was on him so quickly. And with Davis's ability to run, he had to be playing up at least even with the bag.
That's a good point, because sometimes the hop dictates how you're going to play it. And that was one situation. You don't really have a chance to play the hop. You react to the hop. That's why at third base, the reaction position is Dan Driessen drills one into left field. The second hit of the ball game for Dan Driessen, and the 3rd straight time he's been on base. 5 hits for the Giants. Each side now with 1 run and 5 hits. And the batter, Ron Roenicke, who's 0 for 2.
So far this year, in the 6 starts that Roenicke has had, as he's been used primarily as a pinch hitter, he's batted .333.
1-0 to Ron. Boy, Steve, we mentioned the pennant races in the month of September. The National League famous for pennant races. Of course, back in '51, the Giants and the Dodgers. Shot heard around the world. Bobby Thompson's blast. This one popped up center field. Dykstra couldn't find it. Santana, base hit. Oh, boy. Santana turned his back to the infield, and that was his undoing.
Well, Ralph Kiner tells the story about a shortstop, or a third baseman, I guess it was, running out to left field and trying to find the ball, and the outfielder had to tell him it was back on the infield dirt. And this about is what happened to Raffy. That is a, I hate to say it, but almost a typical pop-up here at Candlestick Park. The ball at first looked like it was going to be out to medium center field, and it wound up maybe 15 feet past the edge of the outfield grass.
So the batter, Joel Youngblood, it will be scored as a hit, however tainted. Youngblood's slider misses. Joel with an infield hit his last time up, and he was grounded to third. Only 1 out. Swing and a miss, 1-1. '59 season when the Dodgers had a playoff with the Milwaukee Braves. And the Dodgers winning it, of course. Ground ball foul, 1-2. The 62 season, the Dodgers and the Giants. Cardinals went into Dodger Stadium, and the Dodgers had to win one game. Their magic number was 1. 4 games left to play, and San Francisco was playing Houston here at Candlestick. The Giants won 4 in a row. The Cardinals won 4 in a row. And the playoff, the best 2 out of 3, was won by the Giants.
And then 1980 with the Astros going into Dodger Stadium.
Well, of course, that was playoff time. Oh, yeah, that's right, during the regular season. That's exactly right. Excuse me. Paciorek over, and he can't come up with it. Had those mounds to contend with.
Gary Carter goes a long way for this ball, and rightfully so, because you never know where the ball's going to wind up. Carter tried to rip his mask off in going for that pop-up, but forgot he was playing first base, so he ripped his cap off. And his sunglasses, too. Boy, that shows you what a reaction that is ingrained into you when you play one position for so long.
Only his 5th game this year at first base. Another fly ball. Santana out. Backman, infield fly rule. That might be the only way to catch one in this park. Have an automatic infield fly rule, regardless of the situation.
Nobody on. Nobody out.
Right.
Infield fly rule.
2 out.
I'm telling you, if one park needed it, it would be this one. Wally Backman, to his credit, almost anticipated where that ball was going to be, because the ball was actually hit more to the left side, but the wind blew it back.
And the batter, Bob Brenly, who is 1 for 2 with an RBI.
Incidentally, the error that Backman made earlier back in the 4th inning was his first error in 57 ball games. And as you said, Tim, only his 4th this year.
Major League record is held by Manny Trio, who back in 1982 went 89 games without an error. Line drive, base hit for Brenly. Dreesen scores. Here comes Renicky. The throw home. Safe at home. The ball gets by Reynolds, and the Giants lead it 3-1.
And Bob Brenly has driven in all 3 runs in this ball game with a single and now a double to left field. He goes to third on the throw home. Dreesen scores easily, and Renicky, who runs a little bit better than average, might have been out had Reynolds been able to handle the throw cleanly. It was that close. Brenly winding up on third base with 3 RBIs. He now has 45 on the year, and he shows that form that helped him to kill the Mets last season.
And they're going to walk Brad Wellman with Brenly at third and Dave LaPointe coming up. The Giants have scored all 3 runs with 2 outs on 2 base hits by Bob Brenly. But the big play in this inning, a misplayed fly ball by Rafael Santana. Tell you what, the Mets have a bad combination going now. They're not hitting and they're not playing good defense. That's bad combo. So Wellman walks.
That is the only walk that Ed Lynch has allowed, and of course it's intentional as you look at Doug Sisk throwing in the bullpen for New York now.
LaPointe is 0 for 2, but he's hit 1 ball well. And he chops this one to Santana, who goes to second. So the Mets are out of it, but the Giants take the lead. 2 runs on 3 hits and 2 left. And after 6, it's 3-1 San Francisco. Now here's the
record to prove that statement. 31-31 while playing at Candlestick, and the wind will take this one into the stands out of play. The Giants have a .500 record at home, and on the road they have won 20 and lost 45. So there might be something to the home club advantage.
Well, if you're going to have an advantage in any park, it would have to be here. For a long time, the Astros have had an advantage in the Astrodome because of the unusual conditions, even with the bad ball clubs.
Ball club that's tailored to the ballpark. Of course, the St. Louis Cardinals have their ball club tailored to the big ballpark. They use the speed on the AstroTurf. That ball fouled away, so they can't. That's strike 2 on Ron Reynolds. Reynolds has grounded out and struck out. LaPointe back and strikes him out again. Got him with a fastball, and that's strikeout number 5. 2 of his biggest, though, coming in the 6th inning when he struck out Foster at Knight with runners at first and second.
And LaPointe with a perfect pitch, catching Reynolds looking.
So 1 away, and the batter will be Rafael Santana. Rafael 0 for 2. Mookie Wilson in the on-deck circle. The Mets now have gone, as all the other clubs can do, to an increased roster. You can go to 40 men as of September 1st. Mets have added Mookie Wilson to their active list off the DL. Ground ball in the hole. The slow infield, the grass high here in the infield, slows it up, and Trio over to make the play. So 2 men away, and Mookie Wilson the bat.
Mookie, along with Bruce Perrone and Ron Gardenhire, added to the active roster today. All 3 of them have been on the disabled list. And the last time Mookie played, he was hitting .260 with 3 homers and 17 RBIs and 17 stolen bases. 0 for 4 as a pinch hitter.
Mets trailing in the game by a score of 3-1. The Mets have not had success scoring runs in this series. A 4-game series. In the first game, they got beat 6-3 in 10 innings. They won the second game 2-1 behind Ron Darling. Yesterday they got beat 3-2, and here today they have scored only 1 run. Mookie, a switch hitter. And the first pitch is ball 1. 9,975 paid their way into this ballpark today. After drawing over 20,000 with Gooden on the mound, they went back to a mark of 9,000, which was sort of the mean mark that the Mets have drawn here without Gooden on the mound. 2-0 pitch, and Mookie takes for ball 3. 3 balls, no strikes.
Mookie's last start was back on June 28th against the Cardinals, but he did appear as a pinch hitter and defensive replacement against the Pirates July 1st. So he has not been in a ball game since the 1st of July, 2 full months.
And he walks in 4 pitches as he makes his comeback. So the Mets now have the tying run at the plate, but in the form of Len Dykstra, who has only 1 home run. That came in his first game in Major League play against Mario Soto.
Center fielder Lenny Dykstra.
Well, one thing that Davey Johnson wants to use with Mookie Wilson still not 100% after shoulder surgery for defensive play is that great pair of legs on Mr. Wilson. So we'll see if he's going to have Mookie running here with 2 out.
Mookie with 17 stolen bases for the Mets before he was sidelined because of the operation. First pitch to Dykstra missed. It's strike 1. Dykstra with a bunt base hit is 1 for 3. He was robbed of a base hit on a great play by Chili Davis his first time up. Dykstra an idea about bunting and is spun around on the inside fastball. Dykstra will be spun a lot because he stands right on that plate. And if you're looking for a base on balls, as you look at Gerlitz, the star relief right-hander for the Giants, standing on top of that plate will bring you a better chance at it. And this ball hit in the air to center field. Chili Davis with the glasses down. And he makes the catch, and that retires the side. So a walk and 1 left, and the score at the end of 6.5 innings, the Giants 3, the Mets 1. Now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover. He has walked 34 and struck out 24. Doug Sisk to take over for Ed Lynch as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning.
Eddie Lynch pitched 6 full innings, gave up 3 runs, all earned. He gave up 6 base hits, struck out 1, and walked only 1. That 1 walk was an intentional free pass. And Ed, of course, leaves the game as the pitcher of record on the losing side.
And Sisk's first batter will be Jose Uribe, who is 1 for 3 in the game. Uribe, 1 of 7 starting shortstops out of the 26 in the major leagues to come from the Dominican Republic and to come from San Pedro Day Marquardt. 7 major league shortstops from one city.
And there are only 12 people there.
And this one out on the first base side, foul. Of course, the Mets have Rafael Santana, Mariano Duncan of the Dodgers, another. Boy, amazing stat.
Obviously kidding about 12 people, but there really are. There are only,
2 million, I believe, in total population in the Dominican Republic.
Right, and the town of San Pedro de Macorís is not a metropolitan metropolis. Or is that redundant? Certainly.
Whatever. Speaking of redundancy, Bill Lee has been found. Spaceman has been found. In
By
the paper
shuttle?
today, yeah.
The shuttle found him looking for a broken satellite.
He was up there floating around. Ground ball to Carter at first base, who takes it by the root of an unassisted play and one away. Bill Lee is 6-1 with an earned run average of 0.59, pitching for the Monkston Mets in New Brunswick, the senior league in Canada. How about that?
Monkston Mets, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there ever is a league on the moon, Lee will be up there too, pitching.
He certainly will. You know, he went to spring training with the Giants, and then didn't make the ball club. They asked him if he was ever going to come back, and he said it would take a special amnesty program, such as Mantle and Mays, to get him back in the major leagues by the commissioner.
Something.
Manny Trio, the batter, is 0 for 3.
Those are pretty good stats he has.
6-1, an earned run average of 0.59. But you got to wonder who's he pitching against in the
Hockey
Monkston
players.
Mets, huh?
Bunch of hockey players, probably. They're good low ball hitters, though.
And there's a pitch low for ball 3. 3 balls, no strikes. It was Bill Lee who once said that to be a good relief pitcher, you have to be like a Tibet monk. So he's pitching for the Monkston Mets. That fits in. 3-0 pitch and a called strike. 3-1. Dwight Gooden appearing on the Sports Illustrated cover for the second time, the September 2nd issue that's coming out. Another featured event. Get your picture on the cover of SI, and his winning streak has stopped after 14 consecutive wins. The jinx persists.
A lot of people really believe that there is something to that, and there are a lot of evidences, of course, to support that. But when you consider the number of covers and the number of instances, it's by far in the minority.
Well, the man on the first cover was Eddie Matthews. It didn't jinx his career.
That's for sure.
There's a walk by Doug Sisk to put a runner on with 1 out here in the 7th inning. The Mets trailing 3-1. And it brings up Chili Davis, who is 0 for 3.
Davis has driven in 9 runs in the last 5 games, and in the last 13 games, he's had 3 homers and 10 RBIs. For a while, he was about all the offense the Giants could muster. But they picked up a little bit. Still last in the league in batting, however.
And you say that as the hot dog wrappers are mustering around here. Swing and a miss, and it's strike 1 as Sisk starts off with a fastball. Giants, though, have been playing fairly good baseball. They won 4 of their last 5 ball games, 8 of their last 13. And Rocky Bridges has his hat blown right off his head, and they have to pick it up for him. Third base coach.
Rocky, with that unusual gait, he pulls it down over his ears. With that unusual gait of his, they had to have the bat boy come out and get it, or we'd have been here till dark waiting for him to get over and pick it up.
Vern Horscheit and Rocky Bridges ought to dance together. That would have been the scene of all time with their wheels, huh?
Well, they're not allowed to shake hands because their hands would never be able to be unlocked. Got fingers going every which way.
And this pitch misses, a fastball, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Trio, the runner at first base. And the next delivery grounded foul, so the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Doug in his 38th appearance. Family watching up in the state of Washington via the dish. And it's 2-2. Again, the fastball, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Chili Davis started the ball game with 14 hits against the Mets this year. Is 0 for 3 in the game. 2 of his hits have been home runs, and of course he won the first game of the series with a 3-run home run in the 10th inning. And he hits a drive into center field. Mookie Wilson out there having a little bit of trouble. Gets his first putout since coming back off the disabled list, and 2 men away. Trio back to first base. Mookie staying in the ball game after pinch hitting. And Dykstra going out, and Doug Stith will take over Dykstra's position in the batting order. That would be the leadoff position in the batting order. Now Dan Driessen, the batter. Dan has reached all 3 times he has been up. Doubled in the 2nd inning and later on scored the first run of the ball game, and singled in the 6th and later on scored. Sandwiched in between. He was safe on an error by Wally Backman. Only Wally's 4th error of the year. Ground ball that Backman backhands, tosses off to Santana for the forced play, and that retires the side. No runs, no hits, a walk, and 1 man left on base. And the score at the end of 7. The Giants 3, the New York Mets 1. Now here's a word from the good Olds guys. The left-hander is Davis, and the right-hander Geraltz. 2 ace relievers for the Giants. Giants have a good bullpen. And this bunt is bunted down the third base side, and it spins foul. So Backman will have to come back. Wally is 0 for 3 in today's ball game.
Had that ball stayed fair, Backman had a base hit rather easily.
And here is the Nationals League scoreboard.
In the 7th inning, Chicago pounding Atlanta 14-3. St. Louis behind John Tudor shut out Houston 5-0. In the 4th inning, San Diego shutting out Montreal 3-0. In the 3rd, Philadelphia shutting out the Dodgers. In Los Angeles 2-0, and Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh 3-2.
And we have no word on whether Pete Rose picked up a hit. He needs 8 base hits to break Ty Cobb's record. He was asked if Ty Cobb was looking down on him as he approached the record. And Pete said, from what I know of him, Ty Cobb, he might not be up there. Pretty good remark for Pete Rose, who knows what's going on. Incidentally, Tudor in pitching that shutout now leads the National League in shutouts with 7. 1 more than Dwight Gooden. And Backman takes again. Counted 2 balls and 2 strikes. They've been carrying articles on Ty Cobb here in the San Francisco papers. All the old-timers quick to point out that Ty Cobb had his 4,191 hits and a lot less at-bats than Pete Rose.
I think that's really of no consequence, though, Ralph.
The record is a record.
That's right. Guy, he's going to have X number of hits for his career, and it happens to be more than anybody else.
Time is called, so no pitch. Ty Cobb's first hit was a double. Came about 1905. It came 80 years ago, as a matter of fact, a couple days ago. And his last hit was a double. Got his last hit in a Labor Day doubleheader. So you can hook up doubles with Ty Cobb right there. Huh?
And from what we understand, both on and off the field.
So now a runner at first, and the time run at the plate, and the batter is Tom Paciorek as the Mets trail by 2 in the top of the 8th inning. Their leadoff batter on base. Paciorek in this game 1 for 3. Third walk issued by LaPointe. And Tom Paciorek, the veteran Major League ball player, the batter, and the first pitch is hit down the right field line, foul. swing at a fastball, and the count strike 2. So LaPointe right back to a 2-strike count after the walk to Wally Backman.
And LaPointe has really used that fastball on the inside part of the plate with great effectiveness to right-handed hitters today.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Darryl Strawberry was in the starting lineup with Pachorik at first. Strawberry was scratched, so Pachorik went to right, and Carter went to first, and Reynolds came in the ballgame. Strawberry, in the month of August, hit more home runs than anybody in the National League. He had 9. There's ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Let's have Strawberry and Hernandez on the bench here today. Of course, they would be available as pinch hitters. Ground ball, and it is over the bag. A fair ball to throw to second base in the dirt, and it pulls Trio off the bag. He makes a great catch, but Wellman's throw pulling him away and off the bag, and all hands are safe.
Well, we'll see how they scored. It would have been a very close play even if Wellman had made a good throw, because Wally Backman really busted it down there. And as you see, this ball was not that sharply hit. Wellman had to wait for it. And then, as you said, Ralph, Trio with a fine backhanded pickup, but off the bag.
And now it's Jim Davenport out to the mound, and he's going to make a pitching change. The Mets have Gary Carter coming up, a right-hand batter, so they're going to Scott Garrell here. That tied up the ball game, and then he picked up a single in the 6th. Both of his hits have been to right field. Carter with 2 home runs in the series takes for ball 1.
Well, excuse me, Ralph.
Go ahead.
I was going to say our resident poet and punster, Tim McCarver, has come up with a beauty, which I'm going to pass on to you.
And it's low again in the count. 2 balls, no strikes.
Pinned on the spot by Timmy Mack. Out of the depths of despair, the Mets rose to nip the pesky Giants by a nose. A slain giant, as David will attest, is very tough to put to rest. Bermachet.
And this one ripped foul. The count 2 balls and 1 strike. I'll tell you, Tim is dangerous when you have a day ball game. He gets mean.
Did you write those road signs for that Bermachet back there? No, you didn't. Sounds like one of those.
That would take you about 10 miles on the highway, wouldn't it?
Yeah, those are great. I love them.
2-1 the count, and a strike call, 2-2 off the breaking ball.
Carter disagreeing with the count, as he thought it was low and away. And here it is again. Looked pretty good.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Runners at first and second. No one out. The Mets need 2 to tie. We're in the top of the 8th inning. And he struck him out with a slider. Big strikeout by Garrell.
Look at that ball go down. He is one tough dude to hit, especially for right-handed hitters, as he does have that great movement down and away.
Giants coming up with strikeouts in big positions in this ballgame. Foster struck out in the 6th with runners at first and second and 1 man out, and then Ray Knight followed by striking out. Now the runners at first and second in the 8th inning. Carter strikes out. Runners unable to be moved up. Foster 0 for 2 with a walk. 2 times he has been up. On the official side, he has been struck out both times on changes of pace, I guess is a better way to put it, by the starting pitcher, Dave LaPointe. Geraltz with a record of 8-3 and 12 saves, and he is close to joining Mark Davis in over 100 strikeouts for the season. Davis, the first Giant to ever strike out 100 batters or more in relief. And the fastball fouled back, strike 1.
Scott Garrelts now with 91 on the year. And what an ERA, huh? 1.67.
Don Robinson, the only pitcher to strike out 100 batters last year in the National League.
In relief.
In relief. And did he swing? Yes, he did. And again, Foster with a half swing at a pitch out of the strike zone. strikes to count on George Foster. Strike 3. Got him with a curveball. 3 pitches, and Foster struck out for the 3rd time in this game.
And what a curveball it is. It wasn't a great pitch. It came, however, at a good time. And Ray Knight's being called back in favor of Darryl Strawberry.
And, of course, they can counter by going to the left-hand pitcher, Mark Davis, going in the bullpen. So we'll wait and see what Jim Davenport does. It appears he's going to let Geralt pitch to Darryl Strawberry.
Darryl, as we mentioned, originally scheduled to start the game in right field. Davey Johnson, undecided about the lineup really all morning, made the decision at the last minute to keep Darryl out. No real reason given. Darryl's not injured. There wasn't any problem. Darryl hitting .273, 21 home runs and 57 RBIs.
If there would be a reason, it was because they started the left-hand pitcher. But Strawberry in there now against the right-hander. And that's ball 1. Strawberry batting .315 with 15 home runs and 45 RBIs in his last 52 ball games, and the most home runs by a National League player in the month of August, 9. It's ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes, as Geralt goes with the fastball in his first 2 pitches. On deck batter Ron Reynolds, but if it should continue in this inning, Reynolds would certainly not hit. And Strawberry taking all the way on a 2-0 count with runners at first and second. He was not about to offer. I don't understand that.
I don't either. That is a shock.
He's not there to walk. He's up there to hit.
He represents, if he hits one out, the go-ahead run.
And he goes after a fastball and fouls it back, and they count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You were mentioning, Ralph, if the inning were to continue, the Mets have Clint Hurdle, a left-handed hitter who can catch on the bench, and he would probably pinch hit for Reynolds.
Of course, they could move Carter behind the plate.
True.
As he's still in the ball game at first, and time called no pitch.
Rusty Staub, of course, is available. Keith Hernandez is available. Danny Heap is available. The Mets have a strong left-handed hitting bench.
2-2 the count to Strawberry. 2 men out, 2 men on, and the pitch. Strawberry swings and misses, and Geralt, after walking backward and giving up an infield hit, strikes out Carter, Foster, and Strawberry to get out of the inning. 1 hit and 2 men left, and the score at the end of 7 1/2, the Giants 3, the Mets 1. Now here's a word from Nissan.
But Scott Geralt and Doug Sisk, working his second inning of relief, gets strike 1. One and one now. Joel Youngblood and Bob Brenly to follow for the Giants here in the 8th inning.
Renicky got the big blow in the game that put the Giants up by 2. And it was a gift. With Dreesen on him, 1 out, a pop-up into shallow center. Santana lost it. The wind took it. It dropped in. Nobody caught it. Should have been caught by Santana. Put runners at first and second. They scored on Brenly's double.
Fouled back, and it's 2-2 now. Giants with 1 run in the second on Brenly's RBI single, and then those 2 runs in the 6th on his 2 RBI double. Way high, 3-2 now to the leadoff hitter here, Ron Roenicke. The Mets' only run came in the 4th inning on a solo home run by Gary Carter, his 20th of the year. Ball 4. Second walk issued by Sisk. Roenicke's aboard with nobody out here in the 8th inning. And the batter will be Joel Youngblood, who has 1 for 3 with an infield base hit back in the 4th inning.
Right fielder Joel Youngblood.
have Foster, Wilson, and Strawberry in the outfield, Johnson, Santana, Backman, and Paciorek in the infield, and Carter behind the plate. And a strike at the knees.
Base hit left field. Renicky round second. He will stop.
As Foster got to the ball quickly. And the Giants are back in business with runners at first and second and nobody out.
Well, Joel gets a fastball, and he is a fastball hitter, and he just drills it. Ball did not sink down as the normal action of Doug Sisk's fastball should do. Foster quickly over to get it, and Youngblood with a single puts runners at first and second with no one out.
And here's that man again, Bob Brenly. After a very quiet season against the Mets, Brenly has erupted today. 2 for 3, and all 3 Giant RBIs with a single and a double. Strike one. The Cardinals have already won their game. John Tudor shutting out Houston 5-0. And with the Mets trailing 3-1 here in the 8th, New York in danger of losing another game to St. Louis and falling 3 full games behind. Good sinker that time, and it's 0-2.
Burnley won a game against the Mets at Shea Stadium with a 9th inning 2-run home run that turned the ball game around. That was his first hit against Met pitching all season long. And in this ball game, he's driven in 3 runs with 2 hits, and he has a total of 5 hits all season against the Mets. But he has done damage.
1-2 now.
Last year he had 4 home runs and 14 runs batted in against Mets pitching.
Brenly and Dan Dreesen have done the damage today. Dreesen got innings started by getting on base and scored 2 of the 3 runs that Brenly drove in. A high tapper foul outside third, handled by Howard Johnson, and the count remains 1-2. Ground ball to third, and it's a fair ball. Johnson steps on the bag, throws to second, which I don't quite understand. And the base runner there, Joel Youngblood, is safe, and so is Bob Brenly at first on a fielder's choice.
Well, he had no chance at second. He has a chance at first. Brenly is slow. Brenly's a catcher, and he doesn't have any idea about throwing to first, and Youngblood is in very easily at second. He had a chance at a double play at first.
So runners still at first and second, now with only 1 out. And here's Brad Wellman. Wellman 0 for 2 plus an intentional pass in the 6th inning to get to pitcher Dave LaPointe. Ball 1 is low. Wellman is flying to center and struck out. Hitting just .236 on the year with no home runs. And that caught the corner. 1-1. Sinker grounded to short. Santana to Backman, and on to first, and Paciorek stays on the bag to complete the double play. So a 6-4-3 gets Doug Sisk and the Mets out of it as we end the 8th inning here at Candlestick. But the Giants still lead it 3-1 over the New York Mets. And we're back after this for the good old guys. As we go to the 9th inning, last shot for New York, and you saw Rusty Staub in the on-deck circle with Hojo, as Staub will bat for Rafael Santana, scheduled up next. And then Mookie Wilson will follow against Scott Garrels, who's looking for his 13th save. There's Rusty. 3-1 San Francisco.
It was Johnson that tied up the first game of this series with a 3-base hit. Later on scored a sacrifice fly. The Mets eventually lost it, and he also won the only game the Mets had won with a double.
Squaring and taking high for ball one.
Driving in what proved to be the winning run of the ball game.
Rocky Bridges telling me before the game today that I can't understand why Johnson's hitting only in the 230s the way he's looked against the Giants. Strike called makes it 1-1.
A lot of trades are made because the player hits very well against a singular ball club.
That's for sure. Fouled out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Scott Garrels has faced 3 batters since coming into the game in relief of Dave LaPointe, and he struck out all 3.
That's just about perfect, isn't it?
I don't know how you could do any better.
Well, you could throw 1 pitch and get a triple play. That's been done.
Yeah. And it'll be a base hit into left field for Howard Johnson, and it gets by Roenicke. Hojo going to second. Ball taking a very funny hop as it hit in the grass.
This ball really takes a bad hop on Roenicke, and it scoots on by it. And it will put a runner at second. Takes the possibility of the double play off. Just about all the way off. You could hit into a double play on a line drive or a bad base running play. With Rusty Staub coming up as a pinch hitter, that's one thing that you always think about with Rusty as a pinch hitter, of hitting into a double play.
And the likelihood now, even with Johnson at second, of them walking Staub, of course, is about nil, because that would bring the tying run to the plate. So it's a double for Johnson leading off, and Rusty takes high and away ball 1. Rusty is 3 for 4 with an RBI and a walk in his last 5 pinch hitting appearances.
They walk Rusty and put the tying run at first.
Right. Bring the go-ahead runner. Foul back 1-1. Rusty has 8 pinch hits this year, 97 for his career. He's now in 10th place on the all-time list, behind the leader Manny Mota with 150.
Mark Davis, the left-hander, throwing in the bullpen for the Giants.
Just outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Drive into right center field. It's going to be in there and score 1 run. It's all the way to the wall. Rusty chugging for second as the throw comes in from Youngblood, and Staub has a double. Johnson scores, and it's 3-2. San Francisco still nobody out, and Larry Boa will come out to pinch run for Rusty Staub, who is now 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs in his last 6 at bats.
Rusty 4 for 5 with 2 runs batted in and a walk in his last 6 pinch hitting appearances. That is his 9th pinch hit this year, 98 in his career. And it puts him just 5 behind Mike Blum, who is 9th on that list, just ahead of him. So Rusty Staub coming through with a clutch pinch hit double, and the Mets have the tying run at second, and they have Mookie Wilson coming up.
There's Larry Boa, the pinch runner, who will stay in the game and play short should the Mets go into the bottom of the 9th, and they're certainly hoping that they do.
And the Giants are looking for the sacrifice from Mookie Wilson. Nobody out here in the 9th as the Mets try to tie it.
Wellman and Dreesen well in on the bag, at third and first respectively, in on the grass, I should say, in front of the bag. And Mookie not bunting, and it's strike 1. Mookie walked his first time up. Pinch hitting for Ed Lynch. Activated just today. And there is the on-deck circle with Doug Sisk kneeling. But you got to believe that Doug will not hit. A little blooper that could drop in down the left field line. Uribe can't get it. It's a base hit.
Boa had to hold up, and now he's going to be held off third and out.
Oh, my gosh.
A horrible base running mistake by Larry Boa, who had to hold up and then rounded third and got caught off.
You're going to have to blame Bud Harrelson for some of that. Bud had him waved around and did not hold him up. Boa had to stop too late, and he was too far from the bag, and they got Boa. Unfortunately for Boa, the throw came into third. Normally, it would go home. Ball picked up by Uribe, and he sees Boa running the bag and throws into third. But Harrelson, as you saw right there in your picture, did not stop Boa with no one out. He had to play it safe, so I'd have to think there's a combination there that's involved both Boa, a veteran, and Bud Harrelson.
First out of the inning, and it moves a runner out of scoring position. As on the play, Mookie Wilson went down to second base, credited with a base hit. So Keith Hernandez will pinch hit for Doug Sisk with one out, and the tying run for New York at second base. And here comes Jim Davenport. And with Mark Davis, a tough left-hander in the bullpen, you got to believe he's going to make a change and bring Davis into the game. Davey Johnson is also coming out, and he's going to have a word with home plate umpire Fred Brocklander.
So while we wait for Mark Davis, a tough left-hander, to take his warm-up pitches, we'll have to speculate a bit. Davey Johnson coming out to make sure they did not make a lineup switch, because Jim Davenport did not come to the umpire first before going out to take Gerlitz out of the ball game. Oh, believe it or not, fans, now's the time to start thinking about Mets season tickets for 1986, the silver anniversary season of the New York Mets. Interest in the club is at its peak, and now we got an argument going here because Jim Davenport did not come out to the umpire, and he cannot switch batting positions. That's why Dave Johnson was out there to make sure that he could not do it. And Davenport is now arguing that he can, and that's what it's all about.
And the rule states that a manager must go to the umpire first
to take out the other player before the pitch is out.
That's exactly right, to make the change in the lineup.
So a tactical error here by Jim Davenport.
And there's no way he can win this argument. Absolutely no way.
And while it goes on, we'd like to remind you about next year. Although we're right here, we're in the present. There's no doubt about it. Davey was the one that made sure about that. They wanted to switch batting positions in case the Giants have to bat in the ninth inning, and he cannot do it because of Davenport's tactical error. Time to start thinking about 1986. Well, I think it's time to start thinking about 85 and then 86. But to remind you, if you're interested in one of the Mets season plans for next year, now's the time to place your name on the Mets preferred list to ensure that you obtain the best possible seating location at Shade. To put your name on that list, send a letter or postcard along with your address and phone number to Met Sales Department, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368. Again, if you're interested in 1986 season tickets, send your name, address, and phone number to Met Sales Department, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368.
Giants bat in the ninth. When the Mets are hoping they have to, the pitcher, Mark Davis, is scheduled to lead off. So he would either have to, he being Davenport, would either have to let Davis hit or pinch hit for him. Anyway, Davis is in the game with a record of 4-7 and an ERA of 2.79. He has 7 saves, making his 64th appearance of the season, and that leads the National League. He's pitched 90 and a third innings, walked 32, and struck out 106. And Keith Hernandez will have the unenviable assignment of facing him first. Mookie Wilson, the runner at second, representing the tying run for New York. Hernandez squared as if to bunt and took it for ball one. Keith now hitting .286 on the year, 8 homers, 71 RBIs. Those 71 ribbies lead the club. And it's ball two. 1 out, 9th inning, 3-2 San Francisco leading. Mookie Wilson at second. That'll be our play, and it's 2-1. Howard Johnson led off with a double to left field. on a ball that skipped by Ron Renicky. Rusty Staub followed with a double driven into the gap in right center to score Johnson with the first run to make it 3-2. And Boa pinch running for Staub from second base was caught off third after a bloop base hit by Mookie Wilson down the left field line for the first out of the inning. Mookie going down to second on the play. So Hernandez pinch hitting for Sisk with a count of 2 balls, 1 strike. Now 2-2. Scott Geraltz went an inning and a third. So far charged with 1 run on 3 hits. He struck out 3 and did not walk a batter. He is responsible for Mookie Wilson, the runner at second. Well hit down and deep to right field, and it's out of here, and the Mets lead 4-3. Keith Hernandez, who has been in a slump, the #1 RBI man for the New York Mets, comes through in a pinch hitting role with his 9th home run and now 73 RBIs on the year. And he does it off one of the toughest left-handed relief pitchers in the National League in Mark Davis.
Well, Keith Hernandez has tied his own National League record, which he holds with Jack Clark. Game-winning RBIs, his 21st. As we look at it again, if it holds up, he will have tied the National League record of 21 game-winning RBIs. So we'll have to wait and see a half inning as Hernandez, with a dramatic pinch hit home run, puts the Mets up by a score of 4-3.
And now Wally Backman, the hitter, fouls one off his foot, and he is hurting. Wally drilled that ball right into his front leg. Looked like it hit him right on the ankle bone. Hernandez being rested today with the left-hander going.
He got 8 innings of rest.
And what a guy to have coming off the bench, huh?
Well, you don't figure him to come off the bench and beat Davis with a home run, his first home run against the Giants this year. Guy that can do it all. Left-handed pitchers or right-handed pitchers. The side angle of this swing. Boy, does he get it all. That ball went into the upper deck.
That was Keith's first home run since July 24th, so it's been more than a month. They're still looking for the ball. It might have gone out one of those tunnels. I mean, he turned what wind there is here around. Pitch, it was a bit down, and Keith just nailed it. So Backman has recovered. The count 0-2 to Wally. Batting here with 1 out and nobody on base as Hernandez has driven in 2 to give the Mets a 4-3 lead. Fouled back again.
Well, that home run changes things around. LaPointe, who was on the winning side of this ball game, looking for his 8th victory against 11 defeats, no longer can get that. And Ed Lynch, who was on the losing side, would have been his 8th loss against 10 victories, can no longer get that. And Doug Sisk has a chance to be the winner, and it will be his 3rd victory against 5 losses.
Strike 3 called, and Backman is out of there. First strikeout for Davis, and Davis right now figures to be the losing pitcher.
Number 41.
As Hernandez's run is the winning run at this point, and it is Davis who gave up the home run. Here's Tom Paciorek, who is 2 for 4. Paciorek has singled his last 2 times up. And he takes high and away for ball 1. Tom now at first base after starting the game in right field after thinking he was going to be playing first all along. And he rips one picked cleanly by Wellman, who throws him out, and the inning is over. But the Mets take the lead on Keith Hernandez 2-run pinch hit home run, which followed an RBI double by Rusty Staub. 3 runs in the inning, and it is 4-3 New York, going to the bottom of the 9th after this for Bud Light. Strand for Rusty Staub stays in the game and plays shortstop. And Jesse Orozco comes on to try to pick up his 15th save of the year. Jesse is 4-4 and has a 2.67 ERA, making his 43rd appearance of the year. Doug Sisk pitched 2 innings, gave up 1 hit, walked 2. Could be his 3rd victory of the year if Jesse can save it for him. Dan Gladden is going to pinch hit for Mark Davis. Gladden hitting .228, 2 homers and 27 RBIs, is 9 for 4, or rather, that would be hard to do, wouldn't it? 4 for 9 with an RBI as a pinch hitter. So it'll be Gladden batting for Davis, and then Jose Uribe and Manny Trillo to follow against Jesse Orozco here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Last time Gladden was up, he was batting with the bases loaded and a chance to redeem himself when he made the error that allowed the Mets to win the 2nd game of this 4-game series, but he flied out to center, and he has not appeared since.
Strike 1 on the fastball from Orozco. Gladden 5th in the league in triples with 7. McGee leading with 16, and he's 8th in the league in stolen bases with 26. Skies one to left field. Foster circling with the glasses down. 1 away. Gladden, one of the few Giants who even shows up in the offensive statistics in the National League. 1 down in the 9th. Nobody on for Jose Uribe, who is being called back.
Well, the Giants have Jeff Leonard on the bench. He is a power-type hitter.
But it's going to be Rob Deer.
Deer also a power hitter, but not the veteran that Leonard is. Deer has hit 4 home runs, 3 of them as a pinch hitter. And he is batting .195. He has outstanding power.
He is 5 for 25 as a pinch hitter with 3 homers and 5 RBIs. And you have to wonder, Ralph, and Rob Deer brings this to mind, the Giants recently traded for Dan Dreesen, who is a veteran ball player. They have been playing predominantly a veteran lineup, and they do have, like Rob Deer, or as with Rob Deer, some fine young talent on the club. In their situation, why aren't these guys playing all the time?
Well, sometimes they don't like to play rookies against a contending ball club, figuring that the other clubs will feel that you're making it too easy. But I would agree with you that as soon as the Mets get out of town, I would think they'd have to go to play their young players to find out whether or not they can play.
Either that or they're wasting a lot of time. So it is Rob Deer who is big enough to go hunt bear with a stick. Batting with 1 out and nobody on, and Orozco's off-speed delivery for strike 1.
Everywhere that Deer has been, he has been a strong home run hitter.
The Mets leading by 1, 4-3 with 3 runs in the 9th. Strike 2 and a good fastball from Jesse.
In his last 4 minor league years, he has averaged 32 home runs and 88 runs batted in a year.
And he's up there to do one thing, and that's try to tie this game up. It's 0-2. See you later. What a breaking pitch from Orozco. Just froze Deer on 0-2, and he's out of there on 3 pitches.
Well, he goes to the breaking ball. Of course, that's what the young players don't know how to do. Don't know how to hit that curveball, and so the Mets now 1 out away as Manny Trillo comes up from picking up a come-from-behind dramatic 9th inning victory.
And what a lift it could give this ball club, Ralph, with St. Louis having already won and the Mets really falling on hard times lately. Seems like whenever the Cardinals have lost a game lately, the Mets have also lost. And to come from behind and be able to hold on now and win this ball game, where they've had problems here in Candlestick Park, could be a big psychological lift for the rest of the road trip. Trillo today is 0 for 3 plus a walk. He has flied to center twice and grounded to third. And he skies one that should be handled. Mookie Wilson calling off Foster, and the Mets have won it. Jesse Orozco comes in to save it, his 15th of the year, as he sets down the Giants in order here in the 9th inning. Doug Sisk pitches 2 innings in relief to pick up the win. Sisk is now 3-5 on the year. And the loser in relief is Mark Davis, who gave up the big home run to Keith Hernandez that won the game for the Mets in the 9th inning. Davis is now 4-8 on the year. Ralph and I will be back to wrap it up. Tim is standing by with a post-game interview, so stay with us from San Francisco, where the Mets have come back to win it 4-3 over the Giants. Now here's a word from the good old guys.
Well, the Mets winning in a dramatic ball game by a score of 4-3. The Mets were trailing by a score of 3-1 as Brindley had driven in 3 runs against the New York Mets. The Mets had gotten their only run on a home run by Gary Carter to right field. And with the Mets coming up in the 9th inning, trailing by 2 runs, it looked very, very bleak. The first batter was Howard Johnson. Howard doubled. That was his first at bat in the ball game. He had come in the ball game in a managerial switch early in the game. And then the next batter was Rusty Staub. And Staub doubled in the right center field as a pinch hitter, and the Mets had a run in, and they had the tying run at second. Bull came in to run for Rusty Staub, and on a bloop base hit by Mookie Wilson, who also was batting for his first official time in the ballgame. He had walked his first time up in the game. The ball dropping in left field, and Bull rounding third base was not held up in time by Bud Harrelson. A double mistake. I think you'd have to discredit both Bull and Harrelson on the play. Bull certainly saw the play in front of him. He thought possibly he might be able to score, but with no one out, they did not play it safe, and Bull was trapped off third. It looked bleak for the Mets right there, but the next batter was Keith Hernandez as a pinch hitter, and Keith, with a 3-run home run, came up with the big hit in the game, and the Mets went on to win the ball game and win it by a score of 4-3. And Hernandez hit that thing in the upper deck. That was a blow.
Unbelievable. And what a bench Davy Johnson had going for him today with the lineup. He finally decided to start. He had Strawberry, he had Hernandez, and, of course, Rusty Staub, the premier pinch hitter, perhaps, of the past decade or so. But I think that we talked a little, Ralph, about the psychological factors of this ball game. And, of course, depending on what happens the rest of the road trip, and it is a crucial road trip for the Mets, games. One of those games that you look back on and you say, well, here's the point. The Mets were slumping at this particular time, offensively and defensively, and this could be the biggest pick-me-up that they could want at this point in the season.
Well, at this point in the season, they all look like big ball games, but this was a great victory for the New York Mets, getting the series tied at 2-2. Right now, let's go down to Tim McCarver and his special guest.
You talk about out of the depths of despair, Keith Hernandez with a mighty home run, and it may be the biggest hit not only of your career, and I'm not going to say that because you were an MVP in '79, you win the World Championship in '82, but this has got to be one of the highlights, huh?
Well, I think particularly for our ball club, it had been tough for us to lose 3 out of 4 here, and the Giants always give us trouble. And, you know, and pinch hitting is not an easy job, and that's the first pinch hit home run of my career, even though I haven't pinch hit a lot. But I'm just very fortunate and very happy that I did it at the right time. Now that'll get us up, and hopefully we'll move down to San Diego and do some damage.
And very fortunate to get a curveball, too. You're sitting on it, weren't you?
Well, normally when you got 2 strikes on you as a hitter, you got to bear down and look fastball. But, you know, I faced Mark Davis so many times in my career, and he's got a great curveball, and he was ahead in the count, and I said, the hell with it. I'm going to look for a breaking ball. If he throws me a fastball, I'm dead. But he threw me a breaking ball, and he hung it, and I happened to put the wood on it.
Keith, we have both been in a lot of situations where we've made mistakes like Larry Bowa made in the 9th inning. What was the feeling in the dugout when Bo was when they threw behind him and had him at third?
Well, it's almost like we hit so many balls, some balls hard here with men on base, and Uribe made some great plays, and it's like we can't catch a break. And, you know, just fortunate that the feeling was, geez, we just can't catch it. The ball could have bounced down the line, and he picks it right up and throws Larry out. It was a tough play for Larry. But we're just lucky to get out here with a split.
All right, Keith. Well, I did write this in the 7th inning. Now, remember, Steve Zabriskie read it, and it went like this. Out of the depths of despair, the Mets rose to nip the pesky Giants by a nose. A slain Giant, as David will attest, is very tough to put to rest, and they were tough to put to rest, weren't they?
Oh, it's very tough. I'm glad we're through with them.
And I'm sure the rest of the Mets feel that way as the Mets got out of here with a split. 2 one-run victories. Now let's go back to the booth to Ralph and Steve.
Thanks, Tim, and thanks, Keith. Our guest will receive a gift certificate from John Gerald Jewelers, where you'll find fine jewelry, watches, and diamonds. Visit John Gerald Jewelers, where the sports crowd shops. John Gerald throughout Long Island, Queens, and Brooklyn. And from Wayne Scott, young men's shirts, sweaters, knits, and sets designed to make you look good, because you never get a second shot at a first impression. Wayne Scott.
Well, the winning pitch in the ball game was Doug Sist, who pitched 2 good innings. He's now 3-5 on the year, and Orozco got his 15th save. Mark Davis, the losing pitcher, now 4-8, and you can bet one thing Keith Hernandez had in mind, that one time Davis could win a ball game and pitch 23 consecutive curveballs before he threw a fastball. And that curveball hit by Keith Hernandez out of the ballpark, the 2-run home run that won the ball game for the Mets by a score of 4-3. The Mets have won 8 of the 12 games against the Giants this year, and that is it for the Giants for the 1985 season. Once again, the final score, the New York Mets 4 and the San Francisco Giants 3. New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste. Everything else is just a light. By Nissan, builders of technologically advanced cars and trucks for over 50 years. The drivers who demand quality, the name is Nissan. By Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. By American Express cars, don't leave home without it. By the Good Olds Guys, your New York, New Jersey, and Southern Connecticut Oldsmobile dealers. By RC Cola, people go out of the way for the taste of RC. And by your local Sunoco dealer, who offers you 93.5 Octane Ultra. Mets Baseball 85 was produced and directed by Bill Webb. Associate directors David Wargo and Grady Lever. Promotional consideration was provided by True Value Hardware Stores and Home Centers, bringing the world beautiful music with the Sanuel multi-band, multi-voltage stereo radio cassette recorder. Mets Baseball 85 is a production of Channel 9 Sports. Production facilities arranged through Vanda Communications. The announcers on the preceding telecast were approved and contracted for by AA Sports Incorporated. Be with us again tomorrow at 9 p.m. when the Mets take on the San Diego Padres right here on WRTV. Now this is Ralph Connor for Tim McCarver and Steve Zabriskie saying so long from San Francisco, California. Over in all the divisions, they've all been settled. Of course, the St. Louis Cardinals